This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories. And welcome to another video in the Clone Wars Recap and Review. This week we're going over Maul's Conquest of Mandalore and some of the last episodes from Season 5, which originally was the final season until Season 6 came out. And I'll actually be doing another one this Tuesday to finish Season 5 with Ahsoka's framing, since it is the 15th anniversary of the Clone Wars, and I want to get that out. I'm going to be trying to record this probably by now, because I'm not really sure what my schedule is going to be for next week. But the 15th anniversary of the show is coming up this Tuesday, so I am excited for that and have a few videos planned for it. But now let's go straight into this arc. Still suffering the injuries from their recent encounter with Obi-Wan Kenobi and the pirate gang of Hondo Ohnaka, Savage Opress and Maul are trapped on board the remains of their freighter, and it is quickly discovered by the Mandalorian Death Watch, led by Pre Vizsla, who finds both Maul and Savage on board and goes to treat them for their injuries at their base. There, once Maul awakes, he begins to discuss things with Pre Vizsla, and they make a pact for Maul to be able to get revenge on Obi-Wan by helping the Death Watch take Mandalore, and Maul learning of its importance to Obi-Wan. Through this, they go to their alliance, but both are planning on betraying each other. Maul returns to Savage and says that they'll be useful, and they will at least remain partially loyal, since they do have honor, unlike Hondo Ohnaka and the pirates. The two know that betrayal is inevitable, but go to work together for now. And beginning their plan, Maul sends them throughout the galaxy to meet with different criminal cartels. First, going to meet with the heads of Black Sun. The Black Sun organization refuses to join, and Maul simply has Savage execute the entire ruling council, placing a new leader under their command, who quickly swears his loyalty to Maul. Driven by fear, the Pike Syndicate quickly goes to Maul and Vizsla, knowing of what he plans, and swears their loyalty to him. The final group they need to go and get to join them is the Hutts. Going to Nal Hutta, they meet with Jabba and the Great Hutt Council, who refuse to go into this alliance, and through this they order the execution of Maul and the Mandalorians. But being skilled, Maul and Death Watch manage to easily fight through the bounty hunters, causing a retreat. They then have one of the Hutts who didn't manage to escape, named Orbua, to give up the information to where Jabba and the rest of the council will be. He quickly, in fear for his life, reveals that they will be on Tatooine in Jabba's palace, and Maul has Savage execute the Hutt. Now going to assault Jabba's palace, the Death Watch and Maul fight through their defenses and make it inside. There, Jabba reluctantly agrees to join into their alliance, with the three major criminal cartels in alliance with him. Maul simply tells Vizsla that they have the resources ready to take Mandalore, and he is not interested in ruling it and will be controlling his new criminal cartel. Although Vizsla does doubt him and is planning to betray Maul once his world is secure. Maul, Vizsla, with the rest of Death Watch, the Pikes, Black Sun, and the Hutts all go and begin to discuss their plans to take Mandalore. They go through their different attacks and how the Death Watch will come in to deal with the criminals and seem to be the saviors of Mandalore. After this meeting, Vizsla and Bo-Katan go and begin to discuss things and how she doesn't trust Maul. Vizsla does agree and says that he's just a means to an end, so they can eliminate Satine's rule and return Mandalore to its warrior culture. At the same time, Maul and Savage are discussing how this will be able to put them in the Jedi's targets and Obi-Wan will come after them, and that they know that the betrayal of the Death Watch is inevitable and they need to prepare for it. The criminal syndicates begin their attack, seemingly under the lead of Savage to the public, and these repeated attacks continue to make Duchess Satine and her pacifist ways look weaker and weaker, where the people demand for something to happen to keep them safe, and using this as an opportunity, Pre Vizsla flies in and speaks to Satine, saying that Death Watch will be able to protect Mandalore and will be able to protect the people where Satine has failed. And as he says this, the Death Watch go in and go to capture their allies that make up the criminal cartels, placing them into custody and making the Death Watch extremely popular with the public. With this, the public cheers Vizsla's name, and Satine knows that the fall of her government is inevitable and that the people will be able to put Vizsla in power. But sticking to her pacifist ways, she knows that she can't fight and is taken into custody alongside the criminals once Vizsla claims his place as ruler of Mandalore. While in prison, she has a discussion with the former Prime Minister Elmec, and he laughs at her situation and how things have gone so poorly for her. And back with Maul, he is discussing with Pre Vizsla the plans of his to expand his operation. And Vizsla goes and betrays Maul, and having overwhelming forces takes him into custody. But not knowing this is what Maul wants. He is paraded in front of the people and says Maul is the leader of the criminals and puts him in prison. When in prison, him and Savage are easily able to escape and look around for a potential ally. First going to gloat and mock Satine, she points out that the only other political prisoner in here is Almec, who is just as corrupt as them. Maul thanks her for this information and frees Almec to be his puppet leader. He then goes to the palace in the capital of Sundari and challenges Vizsla for the right to rule Mandalore and leadership. Vizsla, being a man of Mandalorian principles, accepts, igniting the dark saber. He flies in and begins to duel with Maul. And Maul is inevitably more powerful with his control of the Force and is able to execute Vizsla, who declares that only the strongest have the right to rule Mandalore. which Maul simply replies to by cutting off Vizsla's head, which causes a split in Death Watch, with some of them who are loyal to Bo-Katan Kryze, believing that Maul doesn't have the right to rule. They begin an attack and flee from the palace as Maul takes his place as ruler of Mandalore, claiming the Darksaber as his own. He then has Almec go out and address the public, framing Satine for the murder of Pre Vizsla. Almec says that he was reinstated as prime minister by him, and that he has to make up for his mistakes of the past and help his people move forward. The people rally behind him as Maul sits back in the shadows, pleased with all he has done, and prepares the next stage of his plan and his revenge against Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Mandalorians loyal to Bo-Katan, now known as the Night Owls, go and team up with some of Satine's allies to break her out of prison. They are pursued throughout Mandalore and make it out for Satine to send a transmission to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but she is quickly recaptured after. Obi-Wan does receive this message and is given it by the Jedi Council, but they say they cannot interfere since Mandalore is a neutral world. They cannot go there to help since the Republic would see it as a waste of time, since they are not officially part of the Clone Wars. They have resources to use in better places. Obi-Wan is disappointed and wants to help Satine, but knows that the Jedi will not officially sanction anything, so he has to take a page from his apprentice's book and go off book to be able to assist Satine and help liberate Mandalore. Meanwhile, on Mandalore, Maul learns of everything and grins, knowing that the politics of the Republic will force Obi-Wan to come alone, and that this will set the ultimate trap for Obi-Wan, and he'll be able to finally get his revenge on the man who ruined his life. Using the freighter, the Twilight, which he borrows from Anakin, Obi-Wan is able to incapacitate a Mandalorian super commando and uses his armor to infiltrate the city and make it to save Satine. Entering into her cell, he quickly removes his helmet and tells her that he is here to rescue her, but he is alone. She points out that if he does need assistance, that they could get some from her sister, who Obi-Wan doesn't know, and they make it to the Twilight and try to escape, but are quickly taken down by the Super Commandos as Maul watches. Maul then approaches Obi-Wan, who is surprised to see him. Obi-Wan tries to fight him, but the crash caused too much injuries for him and is easily taken out by Maul, who puts him into his custody and takes him to the Mandalorian palace. There, once Obi-Wan awakes, he is taken to the throne room where Maul goes and begins to discuss how he imagined for years how he's going to get his revenge on Obi-Wan and didn't know the perfect way to do it, but finally figured it out and goes and, using the Darksaber, stabs Satine, killing her. Obi-Wan is devastated as Satine dies in his arms, and the professor love one last time. Maul evilly smiles and says that he's not going to let Obi-Wan die just yet, and he is going to let him suffer for now. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Chancellor Palpatine, in his office, senses the power of Maul rising, and knowing that his former apprentice poses a great threat to his plans, he goes and asks for a shuttle to be prepared and leaves the planet to Mandalore. Bo-Katan leads an attack on the prison and is able to free Obi-Wan from custody of the Mandalorians, and they battle throughout the city. Meanwhile, the shuttle of Palpatine arrives, and he emerges not as Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, leader of the Republic. Instead, he emerges as Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith. Maul's forces go after Obi-Wan, trying to recapture him for their master. And before Maul could really know more of what's going on, he quickly senses disturbance in the Force as he realizes his master has arrived. Darth Sidious enters into the throne room, and Maul, knowing he stands no chance against his former master, tries to swear his loyalty to Sidious, and Sidious sees through his lies, knowing that Maul is no longer his apprentice and is unworthy of being the Sith apprentice. He evilly laughs and, igniting his lightsabers, prepares to attack his former apprentice and Savage, saying that there is no place in the Sith Order for Maul. Obi-Wan manages to make it to the landing platform where he sees the chaos that Mandalore is in. He discusses with Bo-Katan everything, quickly realizing that she is the sister that Satine talked about, and he says that he's going to go back to the Republic, and Bo-Katan urges him to tell them of what has happened here. Obi-Wan says that this will lead to an invasion of Mandalore, and Bo-Katan says that's what they need, as Obi-Wan manages to make it off-world. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Maul and Savage battle Sidious, and Sidious easily fights them off. They stand no chance against him, and Maul is being pushed back, and Savage is stabbed by Sidious, who easily ends his life. Maul watches as his brother dies and says that he was unworthy to be his apprentice. Maul is angry and tries to take on his former master, who easily defeats him. Maul is on the ground and begs for mercy. Sidious coldly replies, "There is no mercy," and begins to torture Maul with Force Lightning. Man, this arc was incredible. This was such a great storyline in the Clone Wars and has always been a personal favorite of mine. Maul is just incredible in this, setting up a powerful criminal empire for himself, which in canon was continued on with Crimson Dawn, and Lucas actually intended for Maul to be one of the main antagonists of his sequel trilogy, with him leading the criminal cartels then. And honestly, that is just some really cool setup, but just the other stuff that's in this is truly incredible. The Death of Satine is definitely one of the most tragic and shocking moments of the Clone Wars, and you really do feel bad for Obi-Wan. And it just shows how much Maul hates him and how much vengeance he wants to take out for his defeat in Episode 1. And yeah, honestly, it's such an incredible storyline. Like, this is just one of the best parts of Clone Wars. Whenever I'm rewatching, I always look forward to this area of the show because this has just some incredible storylines, and this is definitely one of them. This is definitely one of the best arcs of the show and is incredibly well done. It is just truly awesome to see a story not only focusing on the villains, which is honestly really rare and is, mainly seen in books, but it is so interesting to see that it is such a different type of storyline and is really unique. And that's not even mentioning the best part of this, which is the one and only appearance of the actual Darth Sidious in person during this. and him doing something besides just talking, because yes, we do see Sidious at a few other points, but he is just discussing things or is in a vision like he is in season 6. But this, you get to see Sidious truly unleashed and him just truly showing off his full power for honestly, what seems to be the first time against a clearly weaker opponent, because you can't say that the fight against Mace Windu was staged by him, although I do think that he was defeated by Windu, and he was initially trying to stage it, but realized that Windu was a true threat. And I think that Windu did truly win that fight. And the fight with Yoda was more of him showing off his force skills with some lightsaber combat, but we never really see Palpatine go in his full power, using his 2 lightsabers and going on just a crazy killing spree besides this arc specifically. And I didn't really know this until I was actually doing this, but this is one of the last performances of Palpatine by the original voice actor. And I never really realized that until this point. I think he did still record a few other appearances of Palpatine for season 6, mainly for the Clovis arc, because they had a lot of that stuff recorded in advance. But this is just a truly great treat, and I'm so glad that they were able to do this. Although, honestly, it probably would be just a little better if Ian McDiarmid was here, but this was still the Clone Wars when it was under Lucas, who had to pay for everything out of his own pocket. So I don't really think he could have got Ian McDiarmid to return for regular appearances on this, even though I think he really would have wanted to. And yeah, honestly, I think that just made this just a little bit better. Maybe pushed it up just a little bit more if McDiarmid was in this. But still, this was a truly amazing episode, and I always, as I said, love watching it. But now let's go into my ranking. And yeah, honestly, this is no surprise to you, ranked really high. Currently, I put it at the 3rd place with a score of 99.3, but that will be changing next week. In fact, it'll be changing on Tuesday, as I mentioned, when I do the Ahsoka's framing storyline. And yeah, I think this definitely deserves to be this high up as a near perfect score. And I put it just under Umbara, which thinking between the two, I enjoy a lot more, which has a few other big moments and crazy moments with Crawl and everything. But this definitely was really close to that, and think it could have went up a little bit. I think if McDermott was part of it, and there was an extra episode added in, this definitely could have made it just a little bit higher. But yeah, honestly, I love this arc. Definitely think it deserves to be here. But I want to know what you think. Please let me know in the comments. And I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.